Your dog did not choose you randomly. The primary bond a dog forms, the deepest, most neurologically significant attachment in their entire social world, does not go to whoever feeds them most consistently or whoever has the most toys. It goes to a specific person, and that person tends to share a specific set of traits that dogs, across breeds and temperaments and life circumstances, respond to with a depth and a loyalty that nothing else in their world produces. Today we are going through 7 of those traits. Not what you do for your dog, who you are when you are around them, because dogs have been reading that distinction since the first day you met, and they have never once gotten it wrong. 1. They are calm without being distant. Dogs are co-regulators. Their nervous system rises and falls in direct response to the nervous system of the people around them, which means the baseline emotional state of the person they spend the most time with is not background noise to them. It is the weather they live inside. A person with a calm, regulated baseline, not emotionally flat or unavailable, but genuinely settled in themselves, provides a dog with the most consistently regulating environment available. Research on owner-dog cortisol synchrony has found that dogs living with calmer owners show measurably lower baseline cortisol than dogs living with chronically stressed or emotionally volatile owners. The calm is not just pleasant for the dog, it is physiologically beneficial in ways that accumulate over years. This is not about suppressing emotion. Dogs are not asking for a person who feels nothing. They are asking for a person whose emotional expression is stable enough to be predicted and grounded enough to be trusted even when something goes wrong. A person who does not panic when the dog panics, who does not escalate when things go sideways, who brings a steadiness to the relationship that tells the dog's nervous system, this is a safe place to be. 2. They mean what they say. Consistency is not a training concept to a dog, it is a survival concept. Dogs build their sense of safety on the reliable connection between the world they inhabit and the behavior of the people in it. A person who says the same thing and means it every time, whose yes is always yes and whose no is always no, gives a dog a predictable environment their nervous system can actually rest in. A person who is inconsistent, who allows something on Tuesday and corrects it sharply on Wednesday, who communicates one thing with their body and another with their words, who makes rules and then abandons them when they are inconvenient, creates a psychological environment that requires constant monitoring. The dog can never fully relax because the rules of the world keep changing in ways they cannot predict or understand. Research on learned helplessness consistently identifies unpredictable outcomes as more psychologically damaging than consistently negative ones. Your dog would rather live with a firm, reliable no than with a maybe that could go either way. Meaning, what you say is, in the language of a dog's nervous system, one of the deepest expressions of respect you can offer them. 3. They notice the quiet things. Dogs communicate constantly, the lip lick during an uncomfortable interaction, the slight lean away from a touch that is too much, the yawn in a tense moment, the slow blink of genuine ease, the specific quality of stillness that is different from relaxation, the stillness of an animal managing something rather than an animal at rest. Most people walk past all of this. The person a dog chooses most deeply tends to be the person who notices, who registers the small signals without needing them to escalate, who responds to the quiet ask before it becomes a loud one. This capacity for attentiveness is not just a gift in the moment it is exercised. It is cumulative. A dog that experiences being noticed, genuinely noticed in the small moments, builds a specific kind of trust in that person that cannot be replicated by any amount of affection directed at the dog without this attentiveness underneath it. Your dog is talking all the time. The person they bond most deeply with is the person who learned to listen before they had to shout. 4. They are physically present without being physically imposing. There is a quality of physical presence that the people dogs choose most often share, something that could be described as accessible without being overwhelming. They get on the floor. They move slowly and deliberately in the dog space. They make themselves physically available without crowding or pressing. They touch in ways the dog can lean into or shift away from, rather than in ways that require the dog to endure. This physical accessibility is partly about body language and partly about a genuine orientation toward the dog's comfort, rather than the person's own desire for contact. The person whose touch a dog seeks out is almost never the person who reaches for the dog the most frequently. It is the person whose touch, when it comes, is the most consistently on the dog's terms. Research on physical interaction between dogs and owners consistently finds that touch initiated or invited by the dog produces a more positive physiological response than touch imposed by the owner. The people who understand this instinctively, who offer contact rather than demand it, who read the dog's response and adjust accordingly, are the people dogs return to again and again for more. 5. They bring genuine warmth without performing it. Dogs process the emotional tone of human speech in the right hemisphere of the brain, the same hemisphere that processes music and melody rather than literal language. They are, in a neurologically real sense, hearing the feeling behind your words more than the words themselves. And they are extraordinarily good at distinguishing genuine warmth from performed warmth. A person who speaks to their dog with real affection, not the baby talk, deployed as a social performance for other people in the room, but genuine, personally felt warmth directed at that specific dog, produces a measurably different response in the dog's reward system than the same words delivered with flat or performed affect. Dogs are drawn to people whose emotional expression feels true to them, not because dogs are cynical or sophisticated in the way humans are, but because they are reading the physiological reality of your emotional state through scent, through vocal tone, through micro expressions and body language simultaneously, and they have become extraordinarily accurate at detecting the difference between what a person is feeling and what they are showing. A person who genuinely delights in their dog, who finds the relationship itself meaningful rather than performing that meaning for an audience, is one of the most compelling presences in a dog's social world. 6. They protect without controlling. A dog's favorite person tends to be one who makes the world feel manageable without making the dog feel managed. There is a meaningful difference between a person who advocates for a dog's comfort, who says, "This person is going to give you space before the stranger reaches out," who removes the dog from a situation that is clearly too much, who creates quiet when the environment becomes overwhelming, and a person who controls every interaction, anticipates every response, and leaves the dog no room to navigate anything on their own terms. The first person is a protector. The second, however well-intentioned, creates a dog that becomes dependent on direction for every social situation, because they have never been given the space to develop their own confidence in manageable challenges. Dogs bond most deeply with people who make them feel safe enough to be brave, who step in when it is genuinely necessary and step back when the dog is capable of handling something themselves, who trust the dog with small doses of challenge while remaining a reliable backstop when things are genuinely too much. That combination, genuine protection without micromanagement, is one of the rarest and most valued things a dog's primary person can offer them. 7. They show up the same way, every day. The person a dog loves most is almost never the most exciting person in their life. It is the most reliable one, not the person who shows up occasionally with the most energy and the best games and the biggest reactions. The person who shows up every day, in the ordinary moments with the same quality of presence, the same warmth, the same attentiveness, the same willingness to be actually there, rather than just physically in the room. Research on attachment security across species is consistent on this point. The foundation of a secure bond is built in the accumulation of ordinary, responsive, consistent interactions over time, not in occasional grand gestures, however sincerely intended. Your dog is tracking this every day in the texture of how you arrive home and how you leave, in whether you respond to their bids for connection or move past them, in whether the person they encountered this morning is recognizably the same person they encountered last night, in whether you show up as someone who can be predicted, trusted, and counted on not because you are perfect, but because you are consistent. That kind of reliability, accumulated over thousands of ordinary days, is what a primary bond is built from. And it is the trait, above any other, that makes a person worth choosing again and again and again. Your dog already knows which person they chose. They have known for a long time. The question is whether you understand why, and whether you are showing up every day to deserve it. Drop a comment. I read every single one. Subscribe. New video every week. See you next time.